From excessive love of living, from open fear set free, I must thank with brief thanksgiving, whatever gods might be, that nothing is now and forever, that dead men rise up never, that in the end even the mightiest river once brown winds somewhere safe to see. For Swinburne, you see, it seems so easy. You give up God, and you're free. But very soon, 3, 4 great philosophers said it really ain't that simple. Whatever your view on God is, freedom won't follow necessarily. And I'm going to do that problem from 3 different angles. The first is from Neitzsche, and it's from a particular essay of his, hence the hat. The second is from Marx, and the third, which I'll finish with, is the Christian view from Kierkegaard. And they're all going to say the same thing from different points of view. First, the Neitzsche. Now, Neitzsche is a philosopher who most of you will have heard of. He's very, very weirdly represented because we kind of know him for the wrong things. The one that's most relevant to the piece I'm going to do is his declaration of the death of God. Because his point about the death of God was that unless you actually work out what that means, it doesn't mean anything. But I'm not quite doing that. I'm doing from an argument he makes in Beyond Good and Evil. And in that book, amongst many other things, he has this really funny story about what Kant's philosophy really means. That is all wordplay. And that inspired this story. So it's kind of more inspired than actual. Oh, and in this one, you've all got a role to play. You are the people of Königsberg, Kant's citizens. And at one point in the story, your cue will be, and the people of Königsberg came before him and they said, and when I say that, what you've got to say is, have you done it? Have you thought the thought that's ne'er been thunk? So let's try it. Have you done it? Have you thought the thought that's ne'er been thunk? Try not to shout me. So that's thought the thought that's ne'er been thunk. Right? A bit later, I've got a second one if you're game. And the second one is people of Königsberg came before him and they asked him, have you done it? Have you plundered the ponder that's ne'er been plumbed? So, you ready? Have you plundered the ponder that's ne'er been plumbed? So that's think the thought that's ne'er been thunk and plunder the ponder that's ne'er been plumbed. Right? Right. This is Nietzsche's Kant as it never quite happened. And I probably need my coat for it. There was once, in the misty city of Königsberg, by the cold Baltic Sea, a man who everyone knew was so good. Well, he always got up at 5 o'clock in the morning. You've got to be good to be that, let's face it. More than that, he always went for a walk at precisely the same time. 2 o'clock if you're counting. And so it was that people in Königsberg wondered how you could have time at all without Father Kant to show you the way. And more than that, he wrote great books. He wrote them on astrology, astronomy, astrophysics, metaphysics, pataphysics, health and harmony, and health and safety. And he read great books too. So it was no surprise one day when he was seen going into his closet, clutching in his hand a great book by a certain eminent Scotsman. But everybody muttered, because they all knew, in his day, but not in ours, all books by great Scotsmen were either full of threadbare economics, bankrupt morality, or coruscating and corrosive concepts of a brilliant nature. And it's fair to say this book had all 3 of them. It was Kant's manservant, Pepe, who fell of rage in which agony was mixed with ecstasy, echoing through the rooms. And he ran down, and he saw his master staring in front of him, and he said, Master, are you all right? And Kant looked up to him and he said, it is. This book has just proved to me that God does not exist. Oh, Master, I wish you hadn't told me that. That's sacrilege. You have to wash my ears out. Don't worry, Pepe. The same book has just proved to me, there it is, you don't exist either. What, me? What the hell have you done to Mr. You? It's worse than that, Pepe. Much worse. Well, how can it be much worse than me not existing? Because nobody will notice as long as you do your duty. No, I tell you, it's worse than that. This book, it's just proved to me, I do not exist. And I have to confess, that's a bit of a wrench. What? You? Me? And God? Whatever we've done to Mr. Hume that he goes proving we don't exist like that? It's not fair. It's worse than that, Pepe. This book has just proved to me, for exist. And that means I'm out of a job. And so are you.
Oh, Master, whatever happened to us? What are you going to do?
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to stay in my closet and I am going to think. I am going to think the hardest thought that is possible to think. The thought that has never been thought before. The thought that will answer that man's thinking. For it is the thought that explains all thought. And everybody, when Pepe told them in Königsberg, was so impressed. And they couldn't wait to hear the thought. And they waited and they waited and they waited. It was one wild spring day at 5 o'clock in the morning, and the bells sounded, and the people of Königsberg knew they were summoned. And they went down to the marketplace, and there was Kant looking at them. And they all came before Kant and they said, "Have you done it? Have you done the thought that's never been thought?" I have! I've thumped the thought that's never been thumped! The thought that is the hardest thought to think! The thought that will explain all thinking! I have thought it. And I will give it to you now. We think by means of thought! I thank you. Except, of course, Kant called it an a priori synthetic truth, which made it sound so much cleverer. And everybody gave him a big round of applause. But then one bright spark said, "Oh, Mr. Kant, you've done so well. You've explained thinking. But why should I be moral? Why can't I just turn around and hit my friend here?" And he turned around and hit his friend, and his friend hit him back. And soon there was a fight in Königsberg. And in the middle of it, one of them noticed Kant had disappeared. And he turned round to Pepe and said, "Where's Mr. Kant?" And Pepe said, "Well, he's not staying here. He's off to plunder the ponder that's never been plumbed, the ponder that will explain morality." And everybody was very impressed. And they soon got very impatient to hear that ponder. "Well, we get terrible sore, what with all this fighting with morals. Can't we hurry up?" They would say to Pepe, but Pepe would say, "My master will not hurry." It was one autumn day. Again at 5 o'clock in the morning. Again the bells rang and the people of Königsberg knew they were summoned. They went down to the marketplace and they came before Kant and they said, "Have you done it? Have you
plundered the ponder that's never been plumbed?"
I've plundered the ponder that's never been plumbed. The ponder that is the deepest ponder that anyone can ponder. For it is the ponder that will explain all morality. We have morality by means of morals! I thank you! Except, of course, he called it a categorical imperative, but it came to exactly the same thing. And everybody gave him 3 great whoops of joy, and Kant, there and then, while they were waiting, offered to explain art to them. But the good people of Königsberg, who knew what was what, said they didn't want art explained, they weren't funding it anymore, and they thought 2 critiques was quite enough. So Immanuel Kant went back to his closet and didn't come out again. But throughout Germany, all the young thinkers, they heard of Immanuel Kant and his exploits. And they all went into the garden, and they all came back with wills and faculties and thoughts of their own. We had a faculty for good, a faculty for evil, a faculty for being a human, just in case you weren't. And so, philosophy entered into a glorious springtime. A springtime that lasted until romanticism led it quite astray. But in all this welter of thinking, everybody forgot to ask what's surely the obvious question, which is not, how is a priori synthetic truth possible? That is to you and me. How is it possible to know an idea has happened before it's ever occurred? But rather, why would you want such knowledge? And who but a politician, a liar or a charlatan would have you believe it?